You know, I get asked all the time about my coffee journey and how it all started with For Wellness, and it's actually quite an amazing story. You know, I was born in England, but I was raised in Kenya. So from a very young age, 6 months old, we moved to Kenya, and I grew up in Africa predominantly my early years of my life. And one of the things that stuck with me early on is, as a young child, when we're talking 5, 6 years old, my dad used to wake me up on Saturday mornings early in the morning, and he would take me out to the game parks because that was the best time to catch the animals when they were coming to the watering holes. And we would go to this specific spot outside of Nairobi and sit near this huge marula tree. And it was this beautiful lake, and I always remember it because you could always see the sun, and the smell of Africa, if you've ever been there, is quite amazing. It's something you never forget in the early mornings. It really is like the new beginnings of life. And you see the whole area start to take shape with different animals come down to the watering hole. And the reason I tell you this story is to kick off the day, we used to get coffee from a Maasai tribesman, and he used to make the coffee in this metal can on a wood fire. And I don't know where he got the beans or how he even did it, but he used to bring it, and my dad would give him a shilling, which is a currency, and it was a lot of money for him back then. And we would get a cup of coffee, and my dad would say, you know, at 6 years old, don't tell your mom you're drinking coffee, but this is the healthiest thing you'll ever put in your body, and it's good for you. And so I got indoctrinated with coffee at a very early age, and specifically black coffee. And back then it tasted disgusting, but now it tastes amazing, as many things do as you get older. And that kind of started me on my coffee journey. I grew up all over Africa, the Middle East, the Far East, and then Australia, and then eventually came to America really to play golf in college and go to college and university over here. But along that way in my career as a sports performance coach, I've always been traveling. And you know, as a sports performance coach working with some of the best golfers in the world, it takes you to every part of this world, and I've been everywhere. I think I've lived in 27 different countries, and I've been all over the world. And basically along those journeys, I would always search for coffee. So any country, any town, any city I go into, I search for the local coffee shop, and I want to go where the locals go. And I usually find myself in some amazing places, whether it be in Japan or Korea. Even China now is growing coffee. And then also in South America and other parts of Africa and Europe, there's some incredible spots for coffee. And I would always sample different coffees. So it got my palate used to these different varietals. And what a lot of people don't realize is coffee has a journey. It has a taste, just like wine. And from different regions, the coffees of Africa tend to be sweeter, and they tend to be a little bit more floral. And then you get the coffees of South America that are bold, and then you get the Hawaiian coffees. And you know, a lot of coffee is growing around that equatorial belt because of the altitude, and the weather is perfect for growing coffee. So coffee in itself has been part of my journey my entire life. And then basically, you know, I met my partner, Phil Mickelson, through coffee and through golf. I mean, we met originally through golf and our kids, and we became friends. And then how the journey continued was Phil liked his coffee, and I always used to make him coffee, and he would say, why does your coffee taste so much better than mine? And I'm like, well, I'm the expert when it comes to coffee. You might be good at golf, but I'm the expert when it comes to coffee. And then, you know, he was struck with an illness, and that was psoriatic arthritis, which is documented. And I started thinking of ways that maybe I could help my friend by creating something with, you know, some benefits to it. And that's where the good stuff, our first product, came in. And that was developing a product that had good ingredients in it that might help with things like inflammation. And I just went down that journey. I would make him coffee. I'd put cinnamon, a little MCT powder, a little collagen, some Himalayan rock salt, and then a little bit of L-Theanine to take away the bitterness and to take away the jitters. Golfers don't want jitters. And I made this concoction, and then he would add Manuka honey and some other things, and he started drinking it and feeling amazing. In fact, he felt so good that he felt like a lot of his inflammation markers went down from coffee. And that's how we started. That's how the company was really formed, was with creating this product. Coffee was the vehicle to get the good stuff into your body and help with things like inflammation. And if you try it, I'm telling you, you're going to fall in love with it like I did. Not only coffee, but also the good stuff. Check it out, forwellness.com.